hosting 3D Politics, David Oldham. I want to bring this up here because it's got all my little notes from Sooner Politics. We're going to move on to the OKGOP. I'm not going to try to pour through this Al Gerhardt novel, but he had a lot of stuff in there. It seems like he's following it pretty hard. But tell us the basic upshots of this McLean versus Turner. And apparently Amanda Teagarden was on the air speaking about it.
Mm-hmm. You want to take this?
Oh, really? Oh, I hadn't heard that Amanda had been on.
Well,
I don't know anything about it. And frankly, I don't care.
I was hoping you take the question instead of me.
Here's the point. The Oklahoma Republican Party has abandoned constitutional values for the most part. David McLean does get it, and he does claim to follow those values and promote them. I don't know. I'm not with him all the time. But it appears in this particular case that that things have been done which may border on criminal behavior, improper behavior. And if that's the case, then I say bring the charges as necessary. Frankly, there's nothing I can mention that's constitutional about the issue, so I don't have much to say. I lose interest pretty quickly.
Yeah, I think there's something we don't even have a story on it typed up and put in because it's just broke about an hour ago. KOTV and KWTV Channel 9 Oklahoma City both carried it. A bookkeeper who was fired at the beginning of the month it has come forward and provided all of these records, which are the basis for the charges of mismanagement of funds, going deep in debt and stuff, and paying airfare for people to go to East Coast meetings multiple times who we never pay for, like spouses and staffers, when we don't even pay for our national committee women to go to the meeting that they're a part of.
Right.
But this one had to do tonight with a letter that was produced to Channel 6 that said a job's been offered to Mike McCutcheon, who's just recently moved over there, was our county chairman before McLean over here, actually about,
4 years ago.
4 years, earlier. And McCutcheon was supposedly offered a job making it's part-time, $1,250 a month, according to this letter. And the bookkeeper said, okay, wanted to know, do I have to handle this in payroll too? And according to her statement on the air was that Tom DeMont told her and another office staffer, no, we just wrote that to help him get a mortgage on his house he's buying and disregard that. Well, that's mortgage fraud. And if you're complicit in that, that's a problem. And so now there's...
Not that Mike McCutcheon would have any problem paying the mortgage in the first place.
Well, we don't know that.
But the point is, or that we suspect that he would have any problems, but the point is that it is fraudulent behavior. Now, mind you, in the mortgage industry, these kinds of things are done all the time. But if it's criminal, if it's against the law, if you're defrauding a mortgage bank, and if it did come down to that it was fraud, that's an absolute crime.
Okay, so this is the problem that we're seeing, and evidently I talked to one source as we were taping. He said, he's seen the police report on, so that's been done, and the district attorney's office is getting it, but the vice chair is asking also for the AG's office to investigate it as well. Find out. If it's nothing, it's nothing. If it's something, then again, we don't have the kind of oversight of even a budget committee.
I'm just amazed that you just can't keep track of where your money's going.
Well, here's the problem. In the first few months after you elect a new chairman, you have to have a budget committee in place that puts together a proposed budget that's then presented to the presiding big committee that we just call the state committee. Okay, I know it can be confusing talking about all these committees. But the budget committee then presents something that they think is prudent. The state committee, by authorizing them, then that puts perimeters around spending by your state office, including your chairman.
Right.
And if that had happened, if we had impaneled that, and whose job is it? It is the chair and vice chair's job to get that done. That's by the rules is supposed to come up in our June meeting. Well, we had the June meeting, not a word. Not a word. Okay, August meetings coming up. McLean called me in August and asked me to serve on it, and then come the first meeting, and I wasn't invited to the meeting. I found out without notice. I was taken off of it.
Lucky you.
Yeah, it could be because of one of my journalist friends. I don't know. They're taking it out on me. I don't know. But again,
A Russian asset. I'm sure.
nobody talked to me. I was just taken off of it. So I go to that first committee meeting, which happened in mid-August, and Gary Jones, the chairman of, again, Gary Jones, a very reputed, respected former state chair and state auditor, served 8 years. May have been our best state auditor. I don't know. But anyway, he said, folks, we just met 2 nights ago. We don't have a budget for you. Fact is, we'll try our best to have a budget in November, but that'll be a budget for next year. So we're just going to go all this year with no budget, which means the chairman just spends however. That's fine if you're in the black, right? I didn't know we had a credit card with a pretty high, credit balance. What do you call it? Your credit line?
Oh, right.
Yeah, so ends up, McLean said this on the radio on Thursday when pressed by Pat Campbell. He was trying to present this. No, we got $20,000 in the bank. Well, yeah, that was a bailout. We found that out. It was the RNC covering because on Monday, a story came out about we're in big debt.
Right.
And of course, he called for the vice chairman's resignation for lying when the vice chair said we're in debt. That would be Mike Turner.
Okay.
So then Turner gets on Friday, and again, Thursday, Pat Campbell it was horrible. David McLean had a really tough time with that interview, and I'm just saying, because he said, what are you doing? Credit card debt. He said, why don't you go to the bank and get a loan? Well, McLean said, nobody's going to give us a loan. First of all, he couldn't get a loan without the budget committee approving a budget and the state committee authorizing us to seek the loan. That would mean working with the organization.
You can't commit a little fraud, get a loan.
Yeah, I know. Well, it seems they've been trying on this mortgage.
Yeah, everything else you're doing works that way.
So we've got some real problems here, and now Turner, I've got problems with Turner, but I've got problems with my own state committee, which I have to take part of the responsibility for. Nobody's done everything perfect here. Nobody.
Nope.
But, I talked to Turner today about it, and I said, you really should have started by notifying the state committee of what you had before you went to the media.
Exactly.
He said, you're right. He says, it wasn't that I talked to too many people. I didn't talk to enough people. And yes, he says, that's a fair critique. I should have gone to the state committee. Once you do that, it's out there because, it's the media's going to get their hands on it, within minutes. So that's...
Well, but then he's not the focus. At this
That's
point,
right.
it's Estela Hernandez, point two, times 2 or whatever, part due. And
Yeah.
because that's what it is it looks like it's infighting, and that the information has dribbled out. If you've got all this information, then put it out there.
Yeah,
Don't dribble it.
And again, that information, according to our fired bookkeeper, came from her. She's the one that put it out, and then she's gone repeatedly back to Griffin Communications, News 9, News 6, here in Tulsa, and the sister station. So, she's been putting it out there, and, of course, she's the one that gave it to Turner as well. So,
now Griffin is with KFAQ, or
yes.
Okay.
Yes, they're all the...
Yeah.
Yes, in fact, David was referring to the alt media as trying to bring him down, which, I don't know who that is. We got a Randy Crable article on Monday. We've got Channel 9 and then we got Pat Campbell here, and I guess you.
Well, I think it started with the alt. We know about that. It started with the alt because that's where it started, and then people picked it up, and now it's gone mainstream.
Yeah, it is, and it really comes down to.
But hey, if there's a story here, then it proves that it takes the alt to get it done, because these guys got it from the people you got it from, who and that's why people are upset.
Yeah, and it's and all the name calling, disparaging side, that to me doesn't really accomplish anything. It's, are the facts true or are they not? When it comes down to it, it's about that. You've got to put up or shut up. And there were some facts here. Clearly, it was a failure of this administration to set up the proper structure so you'd have the proper framework to avoid debtful spending in secret, avoid inappropriate expenditures like, I think I want my wife to go with me to D.C. and we'll stay at a nice hotel. I talked to one blogger from Muskogee who said, he says, listen, you don't have to spend $400 a night in a hotel. He says, my wife and I went Airbnb, and we had a whole house for $100 a night.
Wow.
Yeah. If you want,
Depends on where you're going.
Well, no, he said that was DC.
What?
Yes, the blogger I talked to said no.
Well, I want to talk to him.
I know, exactly. I know somebody could be a travel
Especially
agent.
if it was nice, because we stayed at a house that cost a lot more than that.
Right. John's going to get arrested here.
It depends. Are you going there during inauguration when you went?
No. I stayed for free when I was there.
So yeah, it was clearly some really bad spending. In fact, did you get a mailer this week from Victory 2020?
Haven't checked the mail.
A whole bunch of us got mail. Actually, it was the end of last week, and it was a nice solicitation funds from Matt Pinnell. Really well done. Matt knows how to do it.
Right.
But I'm like, God, you picked a terrible week to send that out, because what kind of response are we going to get on our mailing expense? Because you're spending the better part of $1 per letter to send these out, and everybody's seeing the news and the newspaper and everything. It's a tough deal. So now here's finally gonna get to a point. On my way over here tonight to the studio, I was talking to a member of the budget committee, and he told me, he says, Dave, right now our rules do not allow for the budget committee to call themselves in a meeting.
Oh, okay.
It's got to come from the chairman. And by not calling the budget committee in, the budget cannot be created to constrain the chairman.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That seems to be a little shortcoming.
Yes.
Just a minor.
And so he says, Dave, next state convention, you and we're going to make a rule. Can't do this. And then, but
we know David likes rules.
Yeah. And so anyway, the other thing he said, he called the members of the state state central committee, there's 4 of them, and he said, he's going to give them at most 48 hours to get this budget. Somebody's got to show some leadership. And so this member of the budget committee, I'll name him, Seth Rott, the former EA for Brian Crane. Mm-hmm. He's now a lobbyist, and he's a member of both the executive committee and budget committee. And he said, until somebody moves the ball, we're stuck in a quagmire. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so he says, if we don't get something like that in 48 hours, he says, let's circulate a petition amongst the state committee members, because us members of state committee can, by petition, 25%. Right. We can call us into state committee, and then the members who do that petition, they get to list the agenda. What's going to happen at this meeting. Right. Not the chair, vice chair. So hats off to Seth for doing that.
Hats off to David for knowing all that stuff.
Listen, Seth, he says, Dave, you and I used to really fight a lot. We still don't agree on much. But I'm glad that we're actually working together civilly, because the party needs some kind of structure and order right now. Wow. So,
very true.
And there's a bunch of people I'd like to commend right now for helping to move this towards what may be some good resolutions, and we're going to be commending some people in the weeks to come. Again, like I told you guys last week, when we talked about this, I said, this is probably going to reach ahead very, very soon.
Right.
And was I right?
It did.
Yeah.
Well, it hasn't quite popped yet, but.